Hello there, Count Lieberkuhn here, and we're back with some more technical Tekkit. In this episode we're going to be looking at raised minimap, chunks and anchors. So first things first, what is a chunk? Well, this is the chunk right here. It's a 16 by 16 bit of horizontal land, so that's in the X and Z dimension. The Y dimension, vertical, doesn't matter how high or deep you go, you'll still always be in the same chunk. So that's what a chunk is, pretty much. So what are chunks useful for? Well, we need chunks to understand the concept of anchors and how much influence they have over the world. So before we can do that though, we want to see how be able to see the chunks in the world in a useful way. So what we're going to do is press full stop to open up the raised minimap options, and we're going to go into surface map options. Now you got all things like lighting, environment color, hide snow and stuff like that. All quite useful if you want to do those kind of things, but the ones we're most interested in are the show chunk grid. So we click that, and as you can see in the top right, the raised minimap now has chunk grids, and this brick wall perfectly covers one. We can also show slime chunks with that. There's a 10% chance, for those who don't know, 10% chance that any chunk will contain slimes. Not all of them will, and most of them won't. So if you're in desperate need of finding slimes, make sure you dig in these particular areas, and then you will find them. So you can get your slime balls for sticky pistons or whatever. Let's hide those for now. Just keep the chunk grid open. I typically always play with the chunk grid shown. I just didn't start it with this video just because I wanted to illustrate that point. So what is an anchor? Well, an anchor is something that works slightly differently depending on if you're in a single player world or a multiplayer server. But essentially what they do is they keep chunks loaded. So in single player, it will just mean that if you're really far away from a chunk that you want to keep loaded, either you've got teleporters there or something, teleport pipes, it'll force that to stay loaded even when you're miles away. However, in a multiplayer server, they don't only do that, but they also mean that the chunk will be loaded even if no players are on the server. So that's really handy, especially if you want to keep things like power flowers running or machines or that kind of thing. Or things that are really slow like coke ovens. So that's what we need to know about those. So let's get on to the three different kinds. We've got the teleport tether, the world anchor, and the dimensional anchor. Now the teleport tether, that's the cheapest one to make, and this is simply 8 iron ingots around a bit of lapis lazuli, or lazuli, however you want to say it. And you get 4 for one of those, so compared to the other two, it's by far the cheapest in terms of EMC value. And these ones are the smallest effect though. They just do a 1x1 chunk. So any one of these blocks you see on the minimap grid. It doesn't matter what part of the grid you put it in, it will just keep that particular grid loaded. Now, the next kind is the world anchor, and that's made with 3 obsidian blocks, gold and diamond. Of the 3 kinds of anchor, that is the most expensive one to make. World anchors, they work just like teleport tethers, except it's a 3x3 chunk. Let's make it to 1 again. So yeah, 3x3 chunk. However, the real advantage of world anchors is that in railcraft they can be used to keep railways loaded. So as you can see, you can make anchor carts, and that's simply done by putting a anchor above a cart in the crafting screen. And that means that you'll be able to have anchors following carts wherever they go, keeping things loaded, even if you've got tracks going like miles away. So that's the main application of these, but a lot of people do use these for various things, just keeping things loaded. They're probably the most well-known of all the different kinds of anchors. Now the final kind of anchor is the dimensional anchor. Of the 3, it's the second most expensive to build, with 4 gold around an iron block to make this dimensional anchor here. Now these ones are a bit different. They're not limited to a certain chunk grid size. So, oh, it's raining. Let's fix that. Blam. Okay, so they're not limited to a certain chunk size. As you can see, if we right-click on it, we get this GUI opening up. And we can use these. So the area loaded at the moment is 9 out of 9, 9 by 9 even. And we can raise that like this. So 3x3, 7x7, 5x5, blah, blah, blah. And 81 is the maximum, so 9 by 9 group of chunks. So it's very easy to have a single dimensional anchor load up a very large portion of the world if you need that. Now you can see the owner is set to me, Count Lieberkuhn, and we can change this to the server. Now the way this works is if we are not OP on a server, there might often be limits to how much chunk size we can use. So it might be 3x3 or 5x5. It's up to the owner's permission if they set them. However, if we're OP or something like that, we can set the owner to server, and that means it's under server's control and it's unlimited in terms of how much size we have. And it doesn't really matter. So that's always good. And that's all there is to say about that one, really. So that's anchors. I would recommend using the teleport tether for a lot of things, especially if you're just using simple teleport pipes, quarries, that kind of thing. Also, power flowers. For those who don't know, power flowers are a thing in equivalent exchange which make use of energy collectors, energy relays, and things like that to power up items and create them from nothing in an energy collector, or energy condenser even. As you can see, it's producing red matter now, and it's getting a lot of EMC at a pretty fast rate. For comparison, this is how much it takes to make bricks. Bam. So we're getting bricks pretty fast, brick blocks. So let's put these back in here. Bam. Normally, these would be unloaded, particularly in a multiplayer server. So so when no players are on or no players are nearby, this would just simply stop working. So what you need to do is make sure you build them so that they're powered. As you can see with this one in Ray's Minimap, I put it in the center of a grid chunk. So we only need to use a teleport tether to actually keep this fully loaded at all times. Most people would use a world anchor. It's also worth noting that because world anchors are the most famous and well known of the 3 anchors, it's the one that's most likely to be banned in a multiplayer server. Quite a lot of servers won't actually ban either of the other 2, just because they're unaware or something like that. So yeah, if world anchors are banned, try the other 2. You might be able to get away with it. And that's it for today's episode, I think. So enjoy using world anchors, keep things loaded, and enjoy your free stuff from power flowers and railcraft fun. Bye!